you have chased your own destruction. At long last, I am here.
The void is coming, but not in the way you think. For centuries, we've feared the Watchers, eldritch beings from beyond reality, hell-bent on unmaking Runeterra. But what if I told you they're not our only problem? Deep beneath the shifting sands of Shurima, something has been festering, twisting, changing, and now it has a name. Bel'Veth. A city consumed, reborn as a mind of endless hunger, a war that shattered ascended gods, a father and daughter torn apart by the void itself, and a choice that could doom or save existence as we know it. And here's the wild part. This war, it might not just be a story. With the Riot MMO in our future, we could soon find ourselves standing in the ruins of Acacia, or on the precipice of the Lavender Sea, the ground writhing beneath our feet, as monstrous horrors with too many eyes and too few souls descend upon us in endless waves. The story of Bel'Veth, the Empress of the Void, and the war that's about to reshape Runeterra forever. Now let's begin not in the future, but in the past, 3,000 years before the founding of Noxus, within the land of Shurima. Guided by the defined aspects of Targon in preparation for some unknown future war, the ancient Shurimans created and used the sun disk at Neramazeth to form the first ascended warriors. These noble beings were worshipped as living gods, and the empire they forged would endure for millennia. To the south, a small place named Acacia calls for peace and independence. They would not find it. Azamuk, the last of the Acacian Mage Kings, was the final ruler to fall before the Shuriman Sun Empress and her golden host of men and gods. For 1,000 years, Acacia remained a vassal state, its culture systematically erased, the ruins of their walls standing as a grim reminder of their defeat. Shurima was merciless, humiliating laws to erase Acacian identity, and those who resisted were brutally executed. But oppression breeds rebellion. When Acacia finally rose, they slaughtered every Shuriman in their lands, impaling their bodies on wooden stakes as they braced for an inevitable retaliation. Against an ordinary army, they might have stood a chance, but Shurima's vanguard was no mere legion. It was led by ascended god warriors such as Nasus, Aatrox, and Renekton. Acacia was doomed. In desperation, they turned to a power they did not fully understand and unleashed the Void. But the Void has no allies, no allegiances, no borders. It consumed both Shuriman and Acacian alike, devouring all in its path. By battle's end, Acacia was gone, replaced by a cursed wasteland where the Void festered and grew. The Shurimans fought for years to contain it. Many fell, even some god warriors. It was only through the heroic actions of the Ascended Harak, who found a way to end Void corruption by destroying the Void hearts found far below the ground, that the Ascended were able to seal the Great Rifts. But victory came at a cost. The Void was merely stalled, not destroyed. And for those who survived, the horrors of the Void War never faded. Haunted by its nightmares, some of the Ascended began their descent into darkness, into the cursed beings that would later be known as the Darkened. One example is Xolaan, a once benevolent healer. She began to use her hemomancy to force her fellow Darkened into her servitude, believing that the only way to end the pointless wars was to forcefully unite the whole world under her control. The key takeaway from all of this, Harak discovered the Void corruption could be halted by destroying the Void hearts buried deep underground, but either they didn't close them all, or they didn't act fast enough. Beneath Shurima, the Void began to mutate. Constant exposure to Runeterra's reality triggered a violent, uncontrollable reaction, an aberration, an allergic response that twisted into a malignant sentient anomaly known as the Lavender Sea. A grotesque mockery of the world above, its landscape was littered with warped, nightmarish imitations of reality. But this pocket of void didn't just mutate, it evolved. It severed itself from the will of the Watchers, rejecting their ancient purpose. Instead of destroying existence, the Lavender Sea sought to consume and remake it in its own image. Neither outcome is good for us, and both are things we will likely have to deal with in the Riot MMO, at least in some sense. I can see a Void-themed expansion with rifts opening up across Shurima, us having to dive into the depths to battle Void horrors and destroy these hearts in a desperate attempt to slow its inevitable unrelenting progress, as the rest of the world tries to find a more permanent solution. It's gonna be great.
There is no escape. Only oblivion.
But let's continue to follow the development of the Lavender Sea. As the Lavender Sea consumed more sentient beings, it did more than feed, it learned. It absorbed the thoughts, memories, and desires of those it devoured, twisting their essence to something new. But there was something missing. It needed a voice, a vessel, a leader who could walk among the mortals and spread its will. It found one in a Shuriman boy named Malzahar. The Lavender Sea reached out to him, whispering in visions, warping his mind with truths no human was meant to comprehend. It named him its prophet and burdened him with a singular purpose, to offer mortal minds and memories as fuel for the rising of an Empress. And Malzahar obeyed. West of Acathia, in the city of Shurima, lived a man named Kasayadin, which means, whom does the desert know? Though most simply called him Kassadin. A well-traveled man, he often left home for work, but always returned with stories to share with his daughter, Kaisa. One day, on his journey back from Piltover, he saw something he could never have prepared for. Survivors, terrified and fleeing. Speaking of an unholy terror that had swallowed their home, the void had opened beneath Shurima, consuming everything in its path. Kassadin raced home, pushing his mount to its limits. But when he arrived, all that remained was rubble and ash. He dug through the ruins with bleeding hands, shouting his wife and daughter's names into the silence. No answer came. For years, grief consumed him, a broken man wandering without purpose, until he heard the whispers. A prophet. Sacrifices made in the name of something lurking beneath the earth, and Kassadin knew. He had seen what happened to Acathia. He would not let the same fate befall the rest of Shurima. He swore vengeance, not just against the prophet, but against the void itself. And to stand against the unknowable, he needed power. Kassadin scoured Valoran, gathering the most arcane and forbidden tools he could find. Zoanite technology to enhance his body, Ionian spirit healers to fortify his soul, and finally he stole the nether blade of Harak, the sacred gauntlet of the first ascended to fight the void. Today, he stalks the ruins of what was once Acathia, striking down whatever horrors the void throws at him. But the fight takes its toll, his flesh, mind, and spirit slowly warping under the weight of the cursed artifacts he carries, and the corrupting presence of the void itself. Yet still he endures, because he made a vow, and nothing, not gods, not demons, not even the void, will stop him from keeping it. Unknown to Kassadin though, his daughter did not perish when the void consumed their home. The rift had swallowed everything, sure. The village, its people, its history, gone in an instant, but buried beneath the desert. Kaisa could hear the faint, panicked cries of others trapped alongside her. One by one, their voices faded, until hers was the only one left. And she wasn't alone. The first creature she encountered was her size, its twisted form scuttling toward her in the darkness. It struck first, knocking her to the ground, but fear turned into instinct and instinct turned survival. With a desperate thrust, she drove her knife deep into its heart. But the void and its creatures do not die so easily. They change, they adapt, they consume. The creature's flesh clung to her arm, writhing, refusing to be torn away. No matter how she struggled, it remained, pulsing, growing, until it became a part of her, a second skin, a living weapon. In the abyss, there was no mercy, no respite, and Kaisa adapted. Each day was a battle, each kill a lesson. She became stronger, faster, not just to survive, but to understand the horror that had taken everything from her. And when she finally clawed her way back to the surface, she was no longer the little girl who had fallen into the abyss. She was a void hunter.
We have something the void will never understand. Me.
Now I just want to say this, Void Hunter would be an awesome class for the Acathia expansion in Riot MMO, learning the ways under Kaisa. But something that I think a lot about is what a reunion would look like between Kassadin and Kaisa. Father and daughter, shaped by the same enemy, forged by the same tragedy. Two people who lost everything, now bound by a singular purpose, to destroy the void before it consumes the world. Although in the current lore, Kassadin and Kaisa have never reunited, he still believes her lost, buried in the nightmare that took everything from him. And even if they were to cross paths, who's to say the void hasn't warped Kassadin's mind beyond recognition? Would he even recognize her? Would he even care? But if Kassadin and Kaisa are to stop the void in Shurima, they should hurry, as with every passing moment the horror grows. Malzahar's rituals continue, feeding the Lavender Sea with mortal minds and memories, pushing reality closer to its breaking point. Then, the prophet took his most devastating step. He opened a massive rift and sank the entire Shuriman port city of Bel'Veth into the void. The Lavender Sea devoured it whole, its people, its history, its very essence consumed and reshaped. From that sacrifice, something new emerged, something unlike any void born before. She calls herself Bel'Veth.
My prophet, Your Empress has arrived. Witness your reward. The end of everything.
A being forged from the collective experience, knowledge, and emotions of an entire city, with the memories of millions coursing through her, she awakens with near omniscience, yet an insatiable hunger. She is the will of the Lavender Sea given form, and her purpose is clear: to consume and remake all of existence in her own image. Yet Bel'Veth is not a mindless servant of the void. She does not seek annihilation, nor does she obey the Watchers. In fact, she seeks to stop them, not to save Runeterra, but to claim it.
I am the void. Your Watchers are incapable of understanding. I am the void, and I will remake all of Runeterra.
From the depths of the Lavender Sea, her influence spreads. She reaches out, whispering into the minds of mortals, twisting them to her cause. And Malzahar, her ever-loyal prophet, carries out her will. The void has a new ruler, and soon Runeterra will kneel before its Empress. It wasn't long before, from the depths of the Lavender Sea, Bel'Veth unleashed her newest horrors. Void-born remora, creatures twisted from the sea life of the once living city. These drone-like entities swarmed the surface, carrying out her will with relentless precision. Amidst the chaos, Kaisa ventured through a void tunnel unlike any she had seen before, one with purpose. There she encountered new Voidborn, the eerie fish-like creatures she dubbed Lamplights. A battle ensues, only for her to be overwhelmed. At the last moment, a nomadic mage from Shurima, able to weave the stone itself, Talia, arrives, pulling Kaisa from the jaws of death. The two retreat to a camp of survivors, where whispers of a mythical safe haven, Xolaan, offer hope for a people. But Kaisa is skeptical. She knows the Zykhalik, where Xolaan is located, is overrun with Xurksai, voidborn creatures that plague the southern deserts. Despite Kaisa's warnings, Talia is determined. She believes she can guide the group across the desert, crafting stone bridges to bypass the threat. When the journey begins, however, the group is ambushed by a nest of Xurksai. Kaisa fights with everything she has to protect the group, but the battle escalates when a colossal Xurksai Doombraker emerges. Against impossible odds, they barely manage to survive. Talia, now realizing that no safe haven exists, makes a bold choice. They will create one. Together, she and Kaisa set out for Xolaan, bound to rid it of the Xurksai and carve out a sanctuary for the people of southern Shurima. But when they arrive, they find only ruins and death. The town is abandoned, ravaged by the void. Before they even get a chance to take in the horror, the ground begins to tremble. A sinkhole yawns open, and from its depth rises Rek'Sai. With no time to hesitate, Kaisa lures the monstrous creature back into the abyss, while Talia seizes the moment, toppling the statue of Xolani, the faceless god, over the sinkhole, sealing Rek'Sai again beneath the sands. For now. After narrowly surviving her battle with Rek'Sai, Kaisa plummets through the earth, straight into the heart of the Lavender Sea. She was expected. Bel'Veth had planned for this moment.
world. You disappoint me. I am not somebody's void spawn. I am so much more. I am the end of the world and the beginning of mine.
Trapped and cornered, Kaisa sees Bel'Veth shipped into her true form and begins to realize that this creature was the embodiment of an entire city, as Bel'Veth formally introduces herself and reveals that she has named herself after the city she consumed, something that Kaisa thought was impossible for Voidborn to be capable of. Voidborn do not name themselves. Names are given to them by those lucky enough to survive. Now, slightly frightened by the alarmingly intelligent Voidborn, Kaisa exclaimed that she will kill Bel'Veth by any means, to which Bel'Veth simply states that she won't, seeing herself as truly inevitable. Bel'Veth explained that she had already calculated and formed the perfect intricate plan to consume all of reality. Would-be heroes have come to try and stop her before. They all failed. They all were consumed. Only 2 still live, and of them, only Kaisa retains her full mind. Kaisa's chest tightens and asks Bel'Veth, 2? To which Bel'Veth replies, you and your father. Shocked by the revelation about her father, Kaisa accused Bel'Veth of lying, despite Bel'Veth stating that she simply doesn't see the use of lying. Quoting Bel'Veth here, I do not lie, Kaisa, the Empress continues. I have no need. The Void's eventual triumph is an unshifting absolute. It demands no lies, half-truths, or questions. I offer you this, daughter of the Void. Your world must end for the sake of mine. But those who came before us, the Watchers, I am an affront to them. Creation burns them, and they will destroy you and me and everything to stop that pain. Should they escape their prison, there will be no breaking their tide. Time will come to a close, and all things will end. Aid me in the destruction of the Watchers, and I will spare your kind for a moment. A month, a year, more? Perhaps in that time you will find a weapon that can slay me, or a hero who can face me. You will not, but you can try. I offer one chance. It is more than they will give you. What if I don't want to? Growls Kaisa. What if I kill you here? You cannot, says Bel'Veth. You lack the will, the knowledge, and the strength. I am your only salvation. Kaisa's armor shudders violently to life, its jets heating as the suit shivers with fear. Kaisa tries to control it with her thoughts, but the parasite seemingly knows something she does not. She attempts to wrestle away control, her eyes turning from Bel'Veth for only a moment in order to... The razor-sharp tip of the Empress wing jabs Kaisa in the chest, lifting her off the ground as she struggles to break free. Kaisa fires everything she has. Missiles rain down on the Empress. Bolts of searing purple energy scream toward her body, and beams of light that have torn lesser Voidborn in half dance across her semi-transparent skin. Nothing. No effect. Daughter of the Void, you will find the Watchers and confirm the truth, or your light will be snuffed out side by side with all others. This is not a threat. It is my promise. Bel'Veth releases her grip, and Kaisa rockets into the false sky above Bel'Veth's alien sea. The twin city of Lavender glitters below, its windows slick with bioluminescence and tumbling, unformed, awful things. As Kaisa blasts through one of the Voidborn tunnels and into the blinding light of day, the Empress turns away, gazing once more over her world of want. Kaisa bursts through the sands of southern Shurima, slamming hard against the dunes as she heaves, her entire body pulled and tossed like a rubber ball. The glowing husk of the city of Bel'Veth smolders quietly in the distance, devoid of any recognizable life, as new things skitter through it and build the land that would spread over everything, a cancer that would consume the world. The entire display is dizzyingly awful, as if all of reality is spinning violently in the wind. According to Bel'Veth, the war for Runeterra isn't going to happen. It's already lost. And that's where our story ends. Now, some cool things you might have missed throughout the video. 1. Gauntlets come in pairs, but where's Harok's other gauntlet? Well, most likely with Ezreal. I'm saying that just because Ezreal's gauntlet and Kassadin's gauntlet look very similar. 2nd, the statue of Xolaan, the one that Talia pulls over the sinkhole. That's the same Xolaan I talk about in the beginning of the video with hemomantic powers, and the Xolaan in Legends of Runeterra who's in Ionia and gets taken up by June. Remember that they were pretty much worshipped as living gods before their fall after the Void War in Icathia. Third, Vel'Koz, the eye void tendril looking guy, he serves the Watchers, and Bel'Veth tries to recruit him by whispering into his mind. Like Bel'Veth, Vel'Koz is also a bit smarter and more powerful than your average Voidborn. Not to the extent of Bel'Veth, but still. Bel'Veth, a Voidborn, seeks to unite the Void against the Watchers like Vel'Koz and then consume all of Runeterra, while the Watchers aim to understand and destroy the material universe using Voidborn like Vel'Koz to do so.
Vel'Koz, your Watchers cannot unmake me so easily. Queen of the Xersai, you of all things, resist the change. Kog'Maw, so small and yet so much potential. Yes, Kha'Zix, you have tasted the world and crave more. You cannot fight the Watchers alone this hour. Kha'Zix, the void you knew is gone. Your war cannot be won. You disappoint me, Kai'Sa. The Watchers are the true threat. Only existence can sate your hunger, Cho'Gath. All will drown beneath my Lavender Sea.
The Lavender Sea would be an awesome region to explore in the Riot MMO. It's a living, breathing, waking nightmare, and one of the biggest threats to Runeterra. I love how Bel'Veth's threat to Kai'Sa is really similar to the Watcher's threat to Lissandra. They both tell them that they're inevitable, and offer them time as compensation for their aid. But yeah, I definitely see that Lavender Sea expansion, maybe after the Icathia expansion, since Icathia is kind of the surface battle before we go deep down, unless they combine it in some way. Bel'Veth will absolutely be a raid boss. I love her battle boss skin, just because the image literally gives me MMO vibes. And I can absolutely see a Void Hunter class that we need at that time to battle against the Void similar to Kai'Sa. But what do you think? Do you agree with me about the Lavender Sea expansion being an awesome update for the future Riot MMO? I could see Malzahar having a side story in Icathia that eventually leads us into the Lavender Sea where we fight Bel'Veth. And there's also the story of Kai'Sa and Kassadin. How do you want their story to play out? I can call it pretty confidently. While it won't be early in the Riot MMO, the Lavender Sea expansion is going to be epic. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for future Runeterra lore videos. If you really want to go above and beyond, sharing the video goes a long way. Massive, massive shout out to those who joined the channel. Thanks for stopping by the Grove, and I will see you in the next one.